10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the John DiVito Show. Today, we're going to talk about forgiving someone. So I hope you tune in and enjoy this show. This is going to be one of my podcasts throughout December where I do brief 10 to 20 minute podcasts looking to help people feel better about the situation that we're in during this pandemic in this very difficult year of 2020. So sit back and enjoy. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the John DiVito Show. It is December 4th, and it's almost 8 o'clock in the morning here in Massachusetts. So happy Friday to everybody. I hope you're looking forward to a relaxing weekend. And as we've talked about, 2020 has been a very difficult year for everybody. We started off the new year, and then by March, we were in lockdown because of the pandemic. And this pandemic is the first that, pretty much all of us have been through in our life. And it's been tragic for everybody. I mean, if you haven't known a family member that's been sick or a family member that's died, then it's affected your life in some way where you've been locked down, you've been home from work, your kids have been home from school, and your life has changed. You haven't been able to go to concerts. You haven't been able to go to sporting events. This year, Thanksgiving looked a lot different. The 4th of July looked different. This has just been one of those years that no one could have predicted, and it's been very difficult on a lot of different people. Businesses have been shut down. So if you're a small business owner, maybe you've lost your business. Maybe your business, sales are way down. And here we go into, the Christmas season where there's so much pressure on all of us to buy presents and get, the perfect gift for whoever you love. And I think that the one thing we need to focus on is that last word in my last sentence, which is love. I think we need to remember that going into this Christmas season, if you're challenged financially, if you're sick, if, there's something going on in your life because of this crazy year, I mean, remember that, while giving gifts is nice, and if you can give an expensive gift, I mean, I know everybody loves that. But really, when it comes down to it, those type of things do not matter. What really matters is that you have your health, that you have people you love in your life, and that is what's really most important, in this crazy world and this crazy year of 2020. So that being said, the podcast that I wanted to talk to you about today is maybe thinking about forgiving someone that you had a fight with, or forgiving someone that you haven't talked to in a long time. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's an old friend. It could be anybody. It could be a work colleague. It could be somebody that was, close to you for whatever reason, maybe an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend, because I think a lot of us have disagreements in our life with different people for various reasons. And, it may be someone that you've never been friendly with, that you just don't get along with. And I think it's important for our own mental well-being to forgive others when you feel like they've wronged you, or maybe you've wronged them. Because I think that if you hold a grudge against somebody, whether it be a parent, whether it be a spouse, an ex-spouse, a child, whatever it may be, that grudge is affecting you as much as it is that other person. It is exhausting to carry hate around with you. It's exhausting to keep up that anger at someone for a long period of time. And honestly, if you can get to a place in your life where you can forgive somebody that has wronged you, at some point during your life, then it's like taking, a huge weight off of your shoulders. It makes you feel better in the long run. And I mean, to give you an example of this, for me, I had, at some points, a very difficult childhood. My home was not perfect when I was a young kid, and nobody's is, but I had some issues with my father, and he was a very difficult person to live with, and he was, verbally abusive. He was emotionally abusive and sometimes physically abusive. And, I know that was maybe a little bit more of the times. I'm an older guy, and that's how things were a little bit more back then. But I still think there's a lot of that goes on today. So for me, there was a period in my life when I got into my 20s where I literally got into a physical altercation with my father. And, for the first time, I kind of, fought back, and it didn't feel good. It felt terrible. You know, all those years where he was abusive to me, I always thought it would feel good to actually be able to fight back. And when I did fight back, it felt terrible. So after, we had a confrontation in my early 20s, then I didn't speak to my father for several years. And it affected him, it affected me, and it affected everybody around us. And, there were so many things that I missed during those years that I think I could have done with him. I think back on 1999, the All-Star game, the all baseball All-Star game came to Boston. And because of a good friend, I was able to get tickets to the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game and after parties where all the Major League Baseball players were there. It was awesome. And I forever thank this good friend of mine that, made this happen for me, because I'm a big baseball fan and my father was a big baseball fan. And, I could have invited him to that Home Run Derby. I could have invited him to the All-Star game. He could have gone to the after parties and seen all the Major League ball players with me. There was a point where I was in this huge party right near Fenway Park, and Diana Ross, the singer, was singing live on a stage for the ball players. Nobody was paying attention to her. Everybody was paying attention to the ball players. So I literally put my elbows down on the stage, looked up at her, and she was literally looking right at me and singing to me. It was like the coolest moment ever. And I still thank my friend for making that happen, because it's a memory I'll have with me forever. But if I hadn't been in a long period of not talking to my father, I could have taken him to, to that with me, and we could have really experienced something, the two of us, that we would have remembered forever. So fortunately, I got to the point right before I got married where I decided to forgive my father for all the things that I felt he had done wrong, as a parent. I decided to move forward, realize that he was not perfect, that he was doing the best he could, that maybe during his childhood, his parents were difficult on him, and he was trying to be the best father he could be. And, what I got was his best. And now as a father, fast forward, the shoe's on the other foot, and I'm a guy that has 4 children. One has autism. I've got 3 teenagers. I've got a tween in my house. It's stressful. And am I the perfect father? I am not. I am not. And I'm hoping that I'm doing a better job than my father did, but I don't know if I am or not. So always try to, reserve judgment on people. Like for a long time, I blame my father. He was too hard on me, so I ended up quitting playing baseball and focused on football. And I feel like I missed a window of maybe being, a professional baseball player or something to that effect, or at least getting my shot. And I blame so many things on my father when in fact, they weren't really his fault. And the bottom line was, was he a perfect father? No, not by a long shot, but none of us are. I'm not a perfect father either. I hope my children will be a better father than I am. But for me, for many, many years, I carried a grudge against him. I could not forgive him. And because of that, I could not move on in my life. It held me back as well as holding him back. It held me back as well as holding members of my family back. And when you hold a grudge and you can't forgive somebody, it affects you. You carry it like a weight around your shoulders. So my simple message for you today is, here we are, we're a few weeks out from Christmas. Did you have a fight with a good friend? Did you have a fight with a spouse, with an ex-spouse, with a child, with a grandparent? with a colleague, with a boss, with a member of your community? If you did, then maybe you can be the bigger person and reach out and see if you can mend that friendship or that, I guess, relationship with a family member or whatever it may be. And if you can't, and it's past that point, what you can do is you can forgive that person. I mean, you don't have to call a dire enemy and just say, okay, I forgive you. That's probably not going to go well. But if in your mind you say, well, this person and I don't get along, I felt that this person did this to me, and I'm not going to carry around hate any longer. I'm not going to carry around contempt any longer. I forgive this person for what they did. And then, like for me, in my circumstance, if it's my father that I felt did me wrong at certain points in my life, I forgave him. I've told him point blank that I know how hard it was for you. My mother was sick from the time, I was a young child. So my father was the sole breadwinner in our house. My mother couldn't work. She was sick. He knew that someday she would die at a young age. She ended up in a wheelchair. I think a lot about what my father felt, the stress that he dealt with on a daily basis, the disappointment he must have felt when my mother was diagnosed with a terminal disease, when they were both in their mid-30s. And, man, he didn't have it easy. He had a lot of disappointment and a lot of unhappiness in his life. And I think that some of that, probably translated over into his parenting because it was such a big part of his life, because he carried so much of the disappointment with him. He carried a lot of grudges with him, and it affected the type of person that he was as an adult. So, my point today, this is going to be a short podcast. I'm going to try to keep it at 15 minutes. So these are easy for people to listen to and you don't have to commit a lot of time. But I'm saying is, if you've been wronged by somebody, don't carry around the hate. Let it go. Let it go. Because if you carry around the hate and you carry around the contempt and you carry around bad feelings, it's going to drag you down with it. And maybe that's going to affect the type of boyfriend or girlfriend you are, the type of husband or wife you are, the type of employee you are, the type of father or mother you are. So if you're carrying around hate, you're carrying around contempt, you're holding grudges, then inevitably that's going to affect your personality and it's going to affect the way you relate to other people. So give yourself a Christmas present this year, a Hanukkah present, a Kwanzaa gift, whatever it may be. Give yourself a present. It's December 4th. We've got a few weeks till Christmas. Make a phone call this weekend. Call an estranged friend. Call a parent that you haven't talked to in a long time. Maybe call a child that you had a fight with. And, you may not get the response you want, but, if you did something wrong, apologize for it. Apologize. Say that you were wrong. Apologize and tell the person that you're sorry for what you did, that you hope that they'll find a way to forgive you. And if they choose not to, that's their choice. You can't control that, but you can control what you carry around with you. So forgive someone, ask for forgiveness. But if anything, whatever you're carrying inside you that's weighing you down as a person, let it go. Let it go. Forgive someone else for what they've done. And maybe if you've made mistakes in your life, I've certainly made my share of mistakes, forgive yourself. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes bad decisions. Everybody feels like maybe they missed an opportunity in life to do something. Everyone carries around baggage of mistakes that they've made in their life. And you've got to learn to lay that baggage down, because maybe some things that happened yesterday didn't work out in your life. But today's today. Yesterday's gone. There's nothing you can do to change yesterday. All you can do is change today and change the days you have in front of you, because you don't want next week, next month, or next year to turn into another yesterday that you're going to regret. I hope that makes sense. And I think it's important because you need to put what happened yesterday, last week, last year in the rearview mirror, because those days are never coming back again. They're gone. They're gone. All you can do is make sure that you do the right thing today, you do the right thing tomorrow, mend fences, forgive people, forgive yourself, move forward, and make sure that 10 years from now, you can look in that rearview mirror and say, you know what? The last 10 years have been pretty good. I forgave people. I didn't carry on baggage. I focused on being a better person. I tried to be a better husband or a wife. I tried to be a better employee. I tried to be a better mother or father. But I think it starts with forgiving the people that you felt affected your life negatively. And I get that there are extreme situations out there that it may be very, very difficult to do this. I get it. Maybe if someone was sexually abused or severely physically abused. I mean, I recently did shows on the abuse at the boarding schools, the Christian boarding schools in Missouri. A lot of the things happen there are very difficult for people to forgive and forget. But I think at some point, if you're going to move ahead in your life and you're going to become a better person and a happier person, you have to learn to forgive other people, and you have to be willing to forgive yourself. Okay. So that's pretty much it. That's my message today. Christmas is coming up. I care about all of you. I have loyal listeners that tune into my live shows every day on Podbean. I've developed a nice following on all the different outlets out there. And, I just want to let all of you know that if you're listening to my voice right now, I look at the download numbers. I see how many people are listening to my shows. I can see what states you're from. I can see what countries you're from. I mean, I've got people from all 50 states in the United States listening to my voice, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, India. I mean, all different types of places, And to me, I look at those maps and I look at people who are listening to me, and it makes me feel that I do have a voice where I can make a difference. So I hope that if you're listening to my voice, you understand how much I appreciate each and every person that listens to me and takes time out of their day. And I hope that I'm bringing value to your life. Okay. So everybody have a wonderful Friday, have a wonderful weekend, and tune in for some more of these short motivational podcasts where I'm just hoping to help some people. Okay. Love you all and take care now.